So my guest today has been a professional wrestler for 24 plus years, and today we're going to be talking all about that journey. This is 100% Sean Cruz.
Thanks for having me,
Sean,
Bobby. Good to be here.
Thanks for being here. So 24 years in the business, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, well, actually, 2025. So, yeah, 24 years. Wild.
And I bet it didn't fly by in the wrestling business, right?
No, honestly, yeah, it did. It did. It's weird because I feel like sometimes yesterday was my first match. And it's funny,
yeah.
too. And I don't know if it's just because I'm older, but a lot of guys, even guys my age, still can remember like certain matches and certain this. I can remember a few of them, but I mean, when you've been wrestling, God, on average, I'd probably say anywhere from 50 to 100 matches a year for over 20 years. That's a lot of matches,
Sure. For sure. And so what were your early days like getting into wrestling?
So I wasn't an athletic kid growing up. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. I came into wrestling. Me and some buddies actually started a little backyard thing. We didn't do none of the crazy stuff. We actually built a little makeshift ring. We tried to be as safe as possible. We met a local promoter guy who, saw us one night outside my yard and was like, "Hey, you guys want to wrestle for me on my show?" Obviously, he didn't know what he was doing because he wouldn't have had a bunch of punk kids, show up that had no training whatsoever. So we did a couple shows with him, and we realized, well, we thought we could do it on our own, and we did. Me and some buddies, we ran like 6 shows in a year. Never lost money. Always drew like 200 to 300 people. Not a clue what we were doing. We ended up disbanding, and a guy who trained me by the name of Tracy Gilbert, he wrestles as Trey G. He came into our territory, as they call it. Which once again, I didn't know anything about that. He got my phone number from somebody. He called me one day and was like, "Hey, I'm coming into your territory. I just want to let you know." And I was like, "Hey, man, cool, sure, whatever." He invited us out to the show. We came out. We enjoyed it. We got to talking to him about how we wanted to be wrestlers. So he basically took us under his wing and he trained us. It was me, a guy by the name of Charlie Dreamer, who was actually trained further by George South later on. Daniel Messina, who wrestled as Dr. Love, and of course the Dawson brothers, Zane and Dave.
Oh, okay.
So he trained us, and that's pretty much how it started, man.
Wow. And so your training was with, I want to say Doug Gilbert. You say Tracy Gilbert,
Tracy
right?
Gilbert, yeah, Tracy Gilbert. Him and a guy named Tony James too that wrestles as Hang Time.
Okay.
Tony helped us out a little bit too. He actually he runs a company here in Fayetteville called Next Level Professional Wrestling. So definitely check them out. But yeah, it was like I never grew up wanting to be a wrestler. Like I loved watching it on TV as a kid, but I was always a super small kid. I never thought I had a chance. And then it was like 2001 when we started actual matches. And I remember that was about the time, well, it was probably a little before that, when the cruiserweights came into WCW, Mysterio and Psychosis and those guys, and my all-time favorite wrestler, Dean Malenko, my absolute idol. And that was when I was like, well, hey, maybe we do have a shot. And then I started to really enjoy it, and then people started to enjoy watching me perform, and I've always been a born entertainer. I sing, I do acting, all that stuff. Like, I just want to entertain people,
Sure. Yeah, it's funny that WCW cruiserweight division really opened up doors for a lot of folks down the line. I mean, you think somebody like AJ Styles now, who, just a few years prior wouldn't have maybe even gotten a shot at all, right? And those small guys were Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in the earlier days, and those guys were 6 foot tall, 230 or whatever. Yeah, for sure. And I think you and I are relatively the same age, if not nearly the same.
Yeah, I'll be 44 in July.
I'll be 44 in April. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. So you probably grew up watching wrestling about the same time as I did.
Oh, of course.
The golden era. It's like I got a lot of golden era favorites behind me.
I've seen those behind you.
There.
Those are
dope. Cool. Well, you said you had a lot of matches. I was going to ask. Chris Jericho used to keep a log of every single match he took or had rather. Nothing like that in your file cabinet somewhere.
I wish, man. I wish. Yeah. This last year, I logged them all, and I ended up with 125.
Oh wow!
And that was in 5 different states, and that was even like right now. I have a torn AC joint shoulder injury, so I got it like 7 months ago. Still didn't miss a booking, just kept doing it because that's what we do. but it slowed me down a little. But the bookings that I already had, I honored them because, like I said, that's
Yeah.
what we do.
Well, good. That's a lot of matches. I mean, that's incredible. And that's how many times a weekend are you working? You
So
two or three
there was
matches
the
a
one
week,
point,
or
there was one point probably the first 4 or 5 months of the year. It was 3 or 4 a week. It was like literally
yeah?
Thursday through Sunday, and we're
Oh
talking
gosh,
North
yeah,
Carolina, Tennessee, West Virginia, Virginia, back to North Carolina. Like, yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm built for the road.
yeah,
A lot of people aren't built for this life, and then there's guys all the time that ask me questions and they're like, "What do you need to do to make it? What do you need to do to get your name out there?" I'm like, "Just get in the car and go. You've got
right.
to travel." That's the one thing I wish I would have done earlier in my career is get out more. I stayed at my home promotion for way too long.
Yeah, just show up and make sure your gear's in your bag, right? I think that's
Absolutely,
the
day one stuff. You got your gear
yeah,
with you? Yes, sir. Absolutely. What do you need?
yep, very cool. And I mean, that's all with different promotions throughout the year, with different talent that you're working with. And now, like, even the social media aspect of it, right? Promoting matches and doing promos and all of that. How do you keep track of all of that stuff week to week? Who you're
Oh
working, what
man,
you're
it's
doing, heel, baby, whatever. I don't know if you
yeah. Well, that's
predominantly
another
just
thing
always
too. Like,
heel.
yeah, I'm usually like a career heel. I'm a better heel.
Sure.
But a lot of people wanted me to baby this year, so that was
Hmm.
interesting. And then with the internet, it's like, wait a minute. Even though it's another state, it was like, hey, last week you were this. Or sometimes I'd wrestle the same guy in the same
Yeah.
year. Once as a heel and once as a baby, and it's. But the crowd understands now. I mean, yeah, there's
Sure.
still there's a few people out there that believe it, and they're like, wait a minute. But a lot of them understand. And to be quite honest,
Yeah.
those are my favorite fans. The ones that come up to me at intermission, they're like, man, you did a hell of a job. You're a great heel. Or the ones that were giving me the most shit, you know what I'm saying? Then they come up there
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, you want to fight? Like, what's going on? And then they're the
Yeah.
ones that are like, I really appreciate your work and your art. And that means everything to me.
Because I'm sure you get into it, and I've seen some videos. I've actually experienced it personally. I've seen you a couple times live, getting in the faces of some fans. But
Of
do you ever get
course.
to a point where like, well, this getting a little too much. We need to back this off a bit, or you just
Oh,
kind of let it happen?
I'm not backing off.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not backing off. I'm a heel.
yeah.
Like, I've been in situations. Matter of fact, there was one this past year. I was wrestling a guy, me and a partner, him and his partner. We took the tag titles off of him. His dad was in the crowd, and his dad like met me outside. I'll send you that video. I ain't broadcasting it, but if you want to see it, I'll send it to you. My girlfriend, or
Sure.
fiance now, recorded it. Got in my face, and we went at it. And I told him, I was like, look. I did my job. I'm here to make you mad. You're mad, right? You're mad because
Yeah.
your boy lost his titles and we made fun of him and I shoved the belt in his face and your face. Now, next time, you get to come back and see me get my butt whooped and him take the titles back off of me, maybe.
Sure.
It's the
Maybe.
chase. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy didn't
Exactly.
understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But hey, it is what it
Yeah.
is, man. I appreciate all the fans. I appreciate all the haters even more. Even more.
Sure.
Like, please tell me I'm old. Please tell me I'm over the hill and I can't hang with you or I can't do this. There's nothing I love more than proving people wrong.
Yeah. Gotta love a good heel, man.
There's not many of them left anymore. And it's like they don't know how to be a heel. Like, you should never try to look better than the babyface. You should never outshine the baby. You should never do a Canadian destroyer if you're a heel. In my opinion, there's just no
Yeah.
point in it.
Yeah. No
Why
flashy
am I going to
moves.
try to
Yeah.
outpop him? Just like I posted a video not so long ago, which was one with me getting in a guy's face, and he was mad. Even after I went to the back, he still kept on, is what people were telling me. That's what I want. I don't
Wow.
want you to see me doing like cool flippy spots and all that. No, I want you mad, and I
Yeah.
want that baby face to go out there and sell merchandise and take pictures with fans. That's what I'm there for. Like, if you want a guy who's an old school heel that ain't worried about putting himself over, that ain't worried about looking cool or whatever, book me. I promise you, I will make any babyface on your roster look like $1,000,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%.
So, who were some of your early wrestling influences, and maybe not necessarily even by moves or anything they did in the ring, but maybe promo style or a mix of both?
Well, I mean, honestly, the to me, I started watching wrestling during the like Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Roddy Piper, those guys, and
Yep.
to this day, not even MJF, even though he tries hard, there will never be a better heel than Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper for me was it. And then when you go and look at the stuff that he did, like he had his notebook and he would, something would pop in his head. Oh, I want to use that in a promo, and then he would do it. That's
Yeah.
doing your homework. That's studying your craft. That's trying to be the best. That's why I loved him so much. He matter of fact, here in Raleigh, he actually got stabbed back in
Oh, is that right?
was it the 80s or something? Yeah, it's crazy. Like that's the guys that I look at. Like I said, Piper, Dean Malenko, to me, still one of the greatest of all time. So underrated. If he would have had more charisma in the ring, who knows?
Yeah.
I'll mention another name, and I know it's a taboo, but I don't care. Chris Benoit. I wasn't there. I don't know what he did or didn't do. I just know what he did for this business, the sport, and what I watched with my own eyes. That's another one.
Yeah.
And of course, you mentioned Shawn Michaels earlier. I mean, as a kid growing up, to me, especially the age I was at when I first saw Shawn Michaels, there was nobody cooler on the planet than Shawn Michaels. And even that, like, there's a couple Facebook pages that I follow that shows like old wrestling clips and stuff. There was one, it was him and Goldust. It was the one where Goldust had him up for the curtain call. He slipped behind him. He kissed Goldust. And when Goldust was selling it and doing all that, he turned around and sweet chin music. There's spots in that match, just his selling. The way he bumped, the way he sold, the way he threw his hair back, like, to me, like, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be. Shawn Michaels was the guy that everybody wanted to work with because he made you look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With his athleticism, with his selling. So that's what I want to be. I want guys who want to work with me because they're like, I know Shawn's going to take care of me, and I know that he's going to make me look good. That's it.
Yeah, and I don't think he gets enough credit for, same thing Bret Hart did.
Oh, of
for
course.
Working with everybody up and down the roster, right?
Yeah.
Bret's 93 where he's working 1-2-3 Kid and Virgil and all of these guys and having these huge matches. Shawn Michaels did the same thing with Mankind and Goldust and Max Moon and whoever they threw at him. He had excellent matches, right? And so that's the stuff that I remember is those quality matches. They weren't even feuds in some cases. They were just a one-night thing.
It was like he was defending the Intercontinental title, or he was defending something. You know what I mean? And I could go on and on about Shawn Michaels. We could talk about him and Razor, like him and Foley, him and Vader. He pulled great matches out. Nothing against Vader, but at that time, towards the end, he was still pulling great matches out of Yokozuna. The one him and Yokozuna had, wow! Like Shawn can make anybody look good, and that's the guy that I want to be. I'll never be Shawn Michaels, obviously, and I'm okay with that. But I can be Sean Cruz, and I can go out there and I can make you believe that what I do is real. That's the biggest thing. If you understand it's a show and what we're doing is like a play, great. But I'm still not going to go out there and that guy is so infuriating. You'll have that guy that brings his kid or his girlfriend or whatever, and it's just to show, hey, I'm going to show you this is fake. I'm going to show you blah blah blah.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to look at my match and go, see, that's what I'm talking about. No. That's an old, I tell everybody who I get in the ring with that, listen, you're going to feel like you've been in a fight. And I don't mean that in an arrogant, cocky way. I'm not going to black your eye. I'm not going to knock your teeth down your throat. But, like, I'm going to snatch you and I'm going to throw you into a corner. I'm not going to pick you up by your hand off the mat. If you give me your hand for me to go to send you off the ropes, I'm going to hit you and then I'm going to take it. Like, I'm not – there's so many guys out there that it's so easy to look at and go, oh, that's fake. Oh, he didn't even hit him. Oh, he barely touched him. Oh, he's standing there forever waiting for the guy to jump off the top rope. Yeah. And I'm not one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys that's, oh, the new wrestling's terrible and old school's where it's at. Don't get me wrong. I love my old school wrestling. But you can watch AEW. You can watch TNA. You can watch some of this more high-flying stuff like Speedball Bailey. Oh, my God. Amazing. And they still use psychology. Now, there's some guys who don't. There's some guys who it's just flip, move, boom, Canadian Destroyer, kick out, this, and you beat a guy with a roll-up. And to me, that makes no sense. That's just me. But then again, there's guys making a whole lot more money than I'll ever make in this business that do those things. So who am I to say? All I say is if you enjoy it as a fan, consume it. I don't care if it's deathmatch wrestling, if it's lucha wrestling, if it's whatever. Don't let nobody tell you that what your wrestling is dumb. If you're a fan and you support professional wrestling, I support you.
That's fair. So I've started seeing you come through as 100% Sean Cruz. When I saw you a couple of years ago live, you were unfiltered Sean Cruz. You've also gone by the Carolina Classic, and you were the godfather of the industry with School of Morton earlier this year. So who is 100% Sean Cruz, and how does he differ from some of those earlier personas?
So I'll be honest with you, the one thing I've never been able to nail down in wrestling is a gimmick. I've never found that one thing that's like me. Oh, I'm going to be the cowboy. I'm going to be the hippie guy. I'm going to be the whatever. I've tried so many things. I guess the unfiltered is probably as close to who I really am. But there were some things that I said, some things that I posted that butt hurt people. Let's just be honest. And I got tired of dealing with all the negativity. And it's like, okay, you want me to be who I am, but when I am, it's like, oh, you can't be a heel. You can't say this. You can't do that. You can't. It's 2024. There's certain things we can't do and say anymore. And I was just like, okay, well then I can't be unfiltered, right? So then the Carolina Classic thing came along. It's like, okay, I'm from Carolina. I'm a classic wrestler. It's great. And it was good and it was fun and it worked for a while. And then I got into the School of Morton stuff with the industry. And one of the guys that was in it with me was calling me the Godfather. And I'm a huge, if you see behind me, obviously, huge fan. I've got a big Godfather poster on the other side too. And it made sense. I did kind of feel like the patriarch of that group. And that's, the only thing I'll say about that whole thing is that was a huge missed opportunity. And maybe I'll be able to create something like that again one day, which, to be honest with you, it wasn't my creation. But once we were all put together, it was like, okay, we're going to make this work. And to be quite honest, I was the only one trying to make it work. But the Godfather thing is like, look, I was doing that, and that was cool, and it worked. But then I found out that Big Vito is doing Don Vito. Big Vito is in ECW, WCW. Watch his stuff. He's literally doing the Godfather gimmick. He's legit Italian, like all that family stuff. I'm not going to be a watered down version of something else. There's other guys out there that might want to do that. Cool. That's not who I am. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? I'm just going to be 100% me. Like it, love it, whatever. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to bust my ass. I'm going to entertain people. I'm going to piss people off. And that's it. And if that's what you want on your show, here I am. And if not, hey, I got a beautiful family. I'll stay at home and enjoy my early 40s. Like, that's nothing personal. It's just that I'm at this point, especially this year, my goal is to work, honestly, it's to work with more names. Like, the one thing I haven't done in my career is work with names. I've always been the guy that promoters trust me with their green guys. Hey, I want you to walk him through this match. I want you to give him some experience. I want you to do this. Or to be quite honest, I get called in to tune people up quite regularly too. Hey, this guy didn't show up for training. Hey, this guy said this. This guy beat his girlfriend. This guy, whatever. I need you to come in and tighten him up. And I've been that guy. So, like, I can, whatever you need, I got you. I can be a baby. I can be a heel. Whatever you want. I've done ring announcing. I've done commentary. I mean, whatever you want. Like, I just love this business, and I love entertaining people. And the reason I'm still here is because the world is a horrible place. Let's just be honest. The world is not rainbows and puppy dogs. And if I can make you forget for 10, 15 minutes I'm in the ring, whatever horrible thing's going on in your life, whether it's something to do with your family, your boss, your girlfriend, your kids, whatever. Use that anger, whatever you got, throw it at me. Throw it at me. Get it all out. And if I can do that and you leave that place feeling lighter and feeling better about yourself, I've done my job.
Couldn't agree more. So many times where I'm just getting stressed out or whatever, I just go to Peacock or Netflix or whatever, and I'm throwing on an old. Usually for me it's an old Royal Rumble that I've watched 100 times. I'm just gonna watch it again.
I love the Rumble.
Yeah, 92, the Flair Royal Rumble for the championship. Can't beat that, man.
You're right.
Is like my favorite match style. It's just happens once a year, I guess twice now if you consider the double match, men and women match. But
Yeah.
it's just comfort food, man, for the soul. It's wrestling comfort food for me.
I agree.
So you just did an event recently I saw on your Instagram for Gouge Wrestling, which I wasn't even familiar with. I guess it's relatively new, potentially, or
Oh
I'm
no,
just
Greg,
out of
I've
the
been around
loop.
for 30 plus years.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to catch myself up because I saw you all did a cosplay match. I guess you were Cousin Eddie from the Christmas Vacation movie.
Yes.
Great, I loved it. And so tell me about that experience. How much fun was that?
Well, first of all, I think it was like 40 degrees outside, so that wasn't very fun.
Yeah.
Um, but basically, Gouge, it stands for Gimmicks Only Underground Grappling Entertainment, right? The guy who runs it is his name's Greg. Count Grog is what he goes by. He ran a company. God, it was over 30 years ago. But like he was there at the beginning when guys like Matt and Jeff Hardy, Shane Helms, and all those guys were coming through the Carolinas. He used to book them on his shows. Like he was big time back in the day. And he's always loved wrestling, and he loves gimmicks. He loves the gimmick stuff. So yeah, he's been doing Gouge for well over 30 years. We do a lot of brewery shows, which I absolutely love.
Sure.
Brewery shows are so much fun because to me, and I love wrestling fans, but there's nobody who hates wrestling more than professional wrestling fans. They criticize and rip up everything. And when I go to an independent show, it's like a gymnasium or an armory, and there's that guy sitting in the front row like this the whole time. Just impress me. Drives me nuts. I'm not going to lie. Hate that guy. But you don't get that at bar shows. You get a bunch of people showing up who might not even like wrestling, but it's like, hey, let's go out and have some drinks. We'll have some fun. And they love it. They respond to everything. They know they boo you. They cheer you. Like they're into it. I don't understand why you would pay $10, $15, $20 to go to a wrestling show and sit like this the whole time, or be on your phone the whole time, or be up walking around. Like, why are you not enjoying the show? You know, just don't go.
Yeah.
Just don't go. But I'm getting off. I do that. But Gouge is fantastic. It's funny. I actually started out there doing a hobo gimmick. Like it was Johnny Hobo or something, where I was like literally during the show, I was going around like looking in trash cans and asking people if they're going to finish their food. They didn't know who I was. They legitimately thought I was like a homeless person in Raleigh. And then at the end of the show, my trainer was in the ring and he was talking smack, and I was out there doing my thing, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're interrupting my ring time, blah blah blah." So he calls me in the ring and starts pushing me around, and then we start fighting, and they get a ref out there, and I end up beating him. It was great because I did the mandible claw. So I had a pair of underwear in my jeans, and it had like chocolate sauce all over it, white underwear. Pulled him out, did the whole gimmick, and pinned him or put him out. And then after they announced me I won or whatever, I was just kind of standing there like I don't know what to do, and I saw his boots, so I got down and started trying to like steal his shoes. Like it was so much fun, man. That's what I love about Gouge. A lot of people will talk smack about it, but it's fun. If you want to have fun, go to Gouge Wrestling. Every time I start getting bogged down in this travel all the time and serious this and serious that, I'm like, I'm gonna go have fun at Gouge because it's fun. And I've had some good quality matches at Gouge, to be quite honest. I mean, with guys like Seymour Snot, Victor Andrews, which he goes by Roosevelt now, Corey Edsel, Chet Sterling is a good friend of mine. He was my partner. He actually just left the business. He's having some back issues. But yeah, it's just a great place, man. If you're ever in the Raleigh area and they're having a show, they do like Raleigh, Fuquay Arena, Chapel Hill. If you're ever in the area, man, go check it out. It's free too. Gouge is free, so like, what's better than that? You know,
nothing better than that. Free wrestling and
good
gimmicks.
Free wrestling.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. But for the Christmas show, did you get to pick Cousin Eddie?
Yeah, I did. I did. I actually, he's like, we're doing a Christmas event. We want everybody to dress up. I love the vacation movies.
Sure.
Yeah, and I told my girlfriend or fiance now. I keep saying girlfriend. I'm so used to it. My fiance. And dude, let me tell you something. I don't want to get too personal or too into my past, but I was married for 14 years. And the situation I was in completely dampened my wrestling career. I left the business 3 or 4 times because of the situation I was in. And now that I'm with this woman who supports me and loves me and really wants the best for me, it's opened up a whole new world. It's amazing. And she does like craft stuff. She makes all my gear. She makes T-shirts. She does like everything. She makes gear for some of the other guys too. Matter of fact, I'll cheap plug. It's keeping tabs on it on Facebook. Hit us up. I mean, seriously, reasonable prices, quick turnaround, great stuff. But she was like all excited because she's like, "Oh, I get to put this outfit together." So we put it together in like maybe 2 weeks, and I love the pictures. I saw the pictures and I was like, "Man, that's really good." You know.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean, like I was just going through your Instagram again, and I'm like that thumbnail just catches you like, oh wait, was this?
Yeah.
But yeah, what a great crazy little match, right?
Yeah.
And just a fun event. I can't imagine being on the street in Raleigh and just seeing a ring set up and just let me check this out, and it's like,
Yeah. Well, there was
yeah,
hundreds of people down there because it was like a
yeah,
craft fair. So it was
yep,
a vendor craft fair, and we were at the very end of the street. They had food trucks and all that, but yeah, there was a good crowd. Funny thing is, that was only my first match of the day. I had to go wrestle in
oh,
Cary that night for FWE Wrestling,
okay,
which is another
yeah,
company I don't know if you're familiar with, but
yes,
check them out. They are fantastic. I love everybody who's in the office there is great. All the guys in the back are great. The fans are great. The venue's great. Yeah, FWE is that's my home base right now.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, FWE is a great organization. I think UPW also runs in Raleigh area as
yeah, they do.
well. Seen a few of their shows
I
as
worked
well.
for them a couple times.
Yeah, some great independent wrestling going on in the Carolinas.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I don't know if it was that show. There was one show we did recently, and there was like 4 really good shows going on in the Carolinas that one night. So
Yeah, I remember it was a couple times this past year where I'm like, which one am I going to? Like, I got to go to one of them, but I can't go to multiple. You know,
yeah.
it's a fun problem to have. I think.
Oh, it is
You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
for especially for wrestling fans. I'm taking my kids to see AEW Collision this weekend.
Very cool.
It's at the Bojangles in Charlotte, so
Yeah.
we'll have some fun there. I try to take them to local shows here and there. They wane. They're into it and out of it. I think I went to somewhere around 30 different shows last year, and
Nice.
they came with me to like 3. So the percentages are low, but they're there. They got to see Sting last year, which was
Oh,
fun for them.
dude. I'm not even gonna lie. Call me a mark. I don't care. I met Sting. I met Sting and Kurt Angle on the same show, and
Yeah,
that was definitely bucket list moment for me. And he was so cool. Yeah,
yeah.
that's the best part is when
A
you meet
group of
those guys and they're cool.
Yeah, a group of buddies in my Charlotte area here. We drove out to Greensboro to see his final match, and when his son came out as Surfer Sting, I was super excited because I'm like, oh, he's gonna do his last match as Surfer Sting.
Right. He legit looked
Like
like
it
it.
just
We
like,
all
and
did.
then they let the rug out from under me with and I love what they did. But for
Yeah.
me, I always loved Surfer Sting. I like Crow Sting. He's not terrible. I mean, he's great, but I grew up watching Surfer Sting. I saw a lot of his matches when I was young, and you know, I was always the WWF guy, but WCW was a really close second for me. And it wasn't like this WWF versus WCW guy. It was like more wrestling. I'm taking it, buddy.
Thank you.
Um, so sorry, I went on a little tangent there, but that's
No,
okay.
you're good. I do the
We're
same
good.
thing.
um, so you talked about wrestling at 40 degrees at a vendor market. What are some of like your worst experiences? I'm not a negative guy, so I'm not looking for negativity, I guess. But you're like, we go up to the venue and you're like, oh shit, I got to wrestle in this. Like, what maybe it's poor
I've got
location,
one
poor
always comes to
weather.
mind when I hear this question. So we went to Eufaula, Alabama to wrestle an independent show, um, and literally pull up to the venue, and it's an old airplane hangar, like an old 20s, like with the round, and it was so rusty and so full of holes. And I'll never forget it. We pulled up, and I was like, look, we're going to find a promoter because I'm going to have to get a tetanus shot before I wrestle in this rusty ass building. Like it was wild, man. The buildings don't bother me as much as the rings do. I've
Mm-hmm.
wrestled in some rings before where it's like you are really putting your life in danger when you get
Yeah.
in this thing. Um, And I think that just goes back to, if you can't afford to run a business the right way, you shouldn't do it. The one place you don't want to cut corners is the damn ring. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I've been doing this for 24 years. I still show up early when I can, help set up with the ring. I always stay late and help take down. And that's not a look at me, I'm paying my dues, whatever. It's just I love it. It's extra workout to me. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But as far as setting the ring up, if I'm there to help set the ring up, then I know, okay, this is messed up, that's messed up. It's a safety thing. Guys don't think of it that way, you know?
Yeah. I was going to follow up with that question, actually. So I have this great perspective. It's like you're setting up the ring. It's kind of like you know the tools, right? You know how they work and how they don't work.
These ropes
right?
are loose.
So,
oh, don't do this. Oh, there's a hole over there where the padding's missing. Like, yeah, you know. Man, honestly though, I think that's part of the charm of what we do. Is that whole traveling circus, carny, whatever you want to call it. Like, you just never know. From one venue to the next, one city, one state to the next, you don't know what you're going to get. You know, and to me, that keeps it exciting.
Very cool. So the next one, so you know, Triple H has gone on record and saying like there's certain spots he won't do. One of them's like the shoulder into the ring post thing, right, where you go between the turnbuckles. He's like, I never took it good, so I just don't do it. When people ask me, I just say no. Is there a move or something, a circumstance that you won't put yourself in, and somebody will call it and you'll be like, no, it's not happening?
Oh, there's tons of them. I will say this though, that's smart, and that's what you should do. You should never be afraid to say no. There's so many green guys in this business. Like, a vet comes up and he's like, I'm going to give you a Canadian destroyer to the floor, and they don't want to do it, but they don't want to look like a punk, or tell this guy who's been doing it longer that could get you blacklisted, which is a bullshit term, by the way. That no, I'm not taking that, but you should. So don't ever be afraid to say no. Now, there's plenty of stuff I won't take. I'll only take brain busters from a couple people. Matter of fact, I think I've only taken one from one person, which is Dax Harwood, which when he was with us in the Indies, it was Casey McKnight. He's the only one I think I've ever taken a brain buster from. I think I took one off the top rope from him one time. Jesus, we used to do some crazy stuff.
That's a certain amount of trust right there.
Oh, we did. We trusted each other explicitly.
Yeah.
And now I'm sorry, I'm really not trying to name drop. It's just that's the person.
Yeah. No, it's
But
fine.
you have to trust pile drivers. I won't take a pile driver from just anybody. Canadian pile driver, never took one, probably never will. Have no desire in taking a poison rana, which to me is a dumb move anyway, because physics wise, unless you legitly hook across the guy's neck and you flip fast enough, you're not going to get that movement. It's obvious the guy who's taking the poison rana is doing a backflip. So I think that's a dumb move. I think there's moves like that are high risk and low reward. So, and it just depends. I mean, I say that, but if I'm at WrestleMania in front of 80,000 people at Pontiac Silverdome or whatever, you don't know what she'll take. Now, I have taken some crazy things. I am the guy. You can ask anybody who wrestles me. I'll be like, hey, let's do this. They're like, you're crazy. Like, if we do a tower spot with like 5 dudes, I'm the guy at the top. Always. Like, I want to be that guy. I want to be the one doing the dives. I mean, not so much anymore because I've had knee surgery and I'm kind of iffy with that. But yeah, there's certain things I'll take and won't take. I will say this. I've literally got like I said, I've got a torn AC joint because the guy told me in the back, a green guy, that he could do an arm drag out of a lockup. And he could not. When he arm dragged me, he held on to me all the way down. And I couldn't flip over and get out of the way, and my shoulder went straight into the mat.
And here we are talking about poison ranas and everything, and
and I'm taking something as simple as that, and that just goes to show whoever's training these people. That's the biggest problem in wrestling right now. I don't know if you've been following Michael Elgin and his crusade to try to get back into wrestling, and he's been doing a lot of talking. He did actually did a live yesterday. I think it was yesterday. No, it was New Year's Eve, maybe. Anyways. Where he was talking about what we can do to fix it, how we can do this, how we can do that, and stuff he says makes a lot of sense. And honestly, a lot of it goes to the training, where you're getting trained from. It's literally almost like the blind leading the blind. It's guys who weren't properly trained, training other guys. And I honestly think it's because of ego. I think it's because there's so many guys in this business, in this sport, that want to be called a wrestler, but they don't have any clue what it takes to be a professional wrestler. They're not in the gym. They're not studying tape. They're not eating correctly. They're not wearing professional gear. They're not traveling. They're not getting in cars with people and saying, hey, do you mind if I ride with you? They're not showing up at shows saying, hey, I'm here if you need me. I can help set up, whatever. I got my gear. Like, they're just not. They're sitting back and they're thinking social media is the way to go.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, guys like Logan Paul don't help that, which Logan Paul is incredible. He's athletic. He takes what he does seriously. But yes, the fact that he's got 7 billion followers or whatever on Instagram, I'm sure was a huge factor when they were like, hey, let's bring Logan Paul in and see if he wants to wrestle. So there's guys that are like that try to get by just on their social media status or whatever. And there's promoters that book people because of that. Just because, which like Jack Vaughn. Jack Vaughn is a huge example of a guy who's made a name with social media, but he can actually work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing with Ben Bishop. He's the new guy that's kind of been using social media, and his stuff's amazing. It's hilarious. I love watching his stuff. So if it hits a little close to home sometimes, him and Jack Vaughn's both. But because I've been there. I've been that guy. I've been the guy in the locker room with that guy. It's funny, though. If you can't laugh at yourself, man, you're in the wrong business.
I love Jack Vaughn's stuff. I actually have a question about a Jack Vaughn video that was the inspiration for the question. He recently did, I think a couple days ago, pre-match routines. Do you have any pre-match routines, even if it's something as simple as like, I got to tap this, turnbuckle before, whatever it is? Do you, any of that superstition?
It's
probably
funny.
Too big of a word, but
it's funny because I watched that video and it actually got me thinking. Well, before, I'll be honest, when I was in my previous situation, and I think it's just because I wasn't centered and happy all around, my pre-match routine was overthinking everything, going over everything in my brain, and just my stomach being just upset all day, and I'm feeling sick, and it's like you can't even enjoy it when it's like that. But now, man, it's so stress-free. Like, I have so much fun when I go to shows, and I'm on the way to shows, riding in the car with my fiance and just enjoying that. Yeah, I guess that's my pre-match routine, is just trying to be as stress-free as possible. Making sure if anybody needs help, if somebody wants me to help them go over a match or learn a move, or if the promoter needs help with this or putting out chairs, or like there's nothing above me. I'm not going to sit here and big time nobody and be a superstar. We're all in this together. That's the way I see it. And maybe that's why I never made it anywhere. Maybe that's because maybe you need that mentality to fake it till you make it. You know what I'm saying? You sit back and you look like a star. Sure. People will think you're a star. It's like, I just want to be me, man. I love the business, and I love helping people out. And yeah, but as far as pre-match routines, yeah, not that I can really think. Well, a Monster. I got to have my energy drink, at least one.
Yep.
But that's an everyday thing. But yeah, not really. I mean, I try to get a workout in, just to get a good pump that day if I can. Outside of that, no. Just, making sure whoever I'm working with, we know what's going on. Everybody's got their stuff together, I guess. And obviously, just like Jack said, you gotta poop, or at least pee. You gotta do one of the two. It never fails. You can literally go to the bathroom, walk straight back. You're standing at the curtain. 30 seconds later, they're about to hit your music, and you're like, man, I gotta pee again. That's the biggest fear, is you're gonna shit the ring or piss the ring. That's yeah. Any wrestler who says that's not their biggest fear, they're lying.
Well, Austin said that he shit himself during a Yokozuna match once. So if the top stars in the world can do it, then what's the
admit it? That's the best part. The best part is he admitted it. I will say this: I've never done that, but I did have a match one time after I took off for like 6 months. Came back. I wasn't training. I wasn't doing anything. Got in the ring with a guy by the name of Scotty Matthews, and he ran me to death. Bumped me around, and it was the end of his shine. I threw up in my mouth at the end of his shine. I rolled out to the apron, swallowed it, and then rolled back in, and we went into the match. I have done that. But as far as anything else,
wrestling, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I was in a match one time. A guy kicked me in the jaw, broke my jaw, dislocated my jaw. There was like 6 of us in there, so it was a scramble. I rolled out of the ring, rolled under the ring, popped it back into place.
Oh.
Got back in the ring, and we went like 15 minutes. Yeah. Oh, I was at School of Morton. The first time I was ever at School of Morton, kid had me in a package pile driver. And the other kid jumped off and was hitting a phenomenal forearm. He's supposed to hit that kid. He was just supposed to drop me. He pins the other kid. When he hits me, kid drops me. I'm going straight down on my neck. Right? So I roll to the side at the last second to keep from breaking my neck. Right shoulder, complete dislocation, right? So I had 2 matches that day. So I had another one later that night because they did 2 TV tapings. So complete dislocation of the shoulder. Match is over. I get to the back. I'm asking some of the guys, hey, does anybody know how to pop a shoulder back in? They're like, no, I'm not touching you. I see a door frame, ran my shoulder into it, popped it back into place, taped it up, went out there and did the second match.
That's Mel Gibson, Lethal Weapon style.
100%. 100%. That's where I got it from. There's a lot can be said about me, or people are going to say about me. The fact that I'm not tough and I don't love this business can never be said about me.
That's fair. I got a few more here. I think we're a little past our original.
Oh, we're good,
That's
man.
Okay. Yeah, good. Okay. I got it. So you posted a picture at WreslteCade, which I love that they do WreslteCade. It's one of my favorite things to do every year, and I've done it the last 3 years. You just kind of go in there and enjoying it. You posted a picture with Jerry Lynn.
Oh my God.
I have to say, I went to there's a restaurant right on the opposite corner I think it's called Small Batch or Small Bar or something like that. My buddy and I go in. Ric Flair shows up, and he kind of goes and hangs out near Ric Flair. So I'm just kind of sitting. I'm watching the college football games. This guy bumps into my shoulder, and he's like, "Are these seats available?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." The guy who bumped into me is Chavo Guerrero.
Hell yeah.
He's with John Schuyler, and he's with Jerry Lynn, and they all three just sit there. And I'm like, I'm not going to mark out. I'm just going to be like, calm, cool, collected. Would you gentlemen like a beer or something? I get, whatever. So Chavo and John Schuyler leave at separate times, and Jerry's just kind of sitting there, and we just start chit chatting about music and wrestling and life and all that. He is such a down to earth guy, and not somebody you'd pick out of a lineup that you're like, I want to chat with this guy for hours, but like he's really a great conversation to have. So I just want to share that. But like, how was your experience at WreslteCade? Like, what do you take from that? How do you interact with some of those other professional wrestlers and talent, and what do you get from an experience like WreslteCade?
So the biggest thing, just a quick story, the very first WreslteCade, I was supposed to be a part of in ring. It was a battle royal, and it was the fans were supposed to pick who was going to be in it. And right before that, we made the decision, or should I say she did, that you're not going to do this mess anymore. We're not going to wrestle. So I walked away from the business. And it's always been my goal to get back to WreslteCade. Never been. So last year, Brian Hawks did a benefit for his boss. I can't remember if it was like cancer, it was something. And it was at the training center, AML Training Center. And so I volunteered my services to go and wrestle. And I actually wrestled Silver Fox, who I love. He's great. I love wrestling him, watching him work. We had a really good match. First time we ever met. First time we ever wrestled. It was a lot of fun. And so I was there, and I got to we were there. We did a raffle while they were there for like 3-day VIP tickets or whatever it was. So my fiance entered it, and she won. So we won tickets to WreslteCade. So I was like, cool, yeah, sure, I'll go. So last year, 2023, we went as customers, as paying or not paying, but you know what I mean. So we went and we got to see it from that side. So I have a lot of friends, of course, that had tables there. Really cool seeing all those people. And then, I was like, man, I want to be a part of it. Like, I want to be in the ring. I want to be whatever next year. So then we had it worked out for the last one where we were going to have a table with School of Morton. Industry was going to have a table. School of Morton was going to have a table. I'm not getting into all that. I'll just say that right before they reopened their new building, I was told my services were no longer needed, which I was also booking for them at the time, helping book. And like I said, I'm not getting into it. I just, it is what it is. I wish them the best of luck, just like I do everybody else. So I said, okay, well, I was friends with Bambi Weevil, who runs Masters of Ring Entertainment. She had previously asked me earlier in the year, hey, I'm going to have a table. I really want you to help, work the lines and stuff like that. So I hit her up, said, explain the situation. She's like, absolutely, we'd love to have you and to have you both. So we go and did that, and we got to hang out with Victoria Crawford and Shane Douglas and Francine all weekend, which was phenomenal. I volunteer at like horror conventions, Comic Con conventions, all that. Like we're doing Mad Monster Party in Charlotte, February, so that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
So as far as being around celebrities and wrestlers, like it's not that big of a deal to me because like I ran Neff Campbell's line, from Scream at Mad Monster Party one time. Like I enjoy that because I know how they are, where they don't want you to bark out and talk about, oh, I saw you in this and this. Just talk to them like regular people, 100%. Yeah. Like you said, music and everything else. Like Jerry Lynn, we talked a lot about that, more so than wrestling. I didn't even bring wrestling up until he started talking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole 3 hours sitting there with him was invaluable because I have so many frustrations when it comes to the way things are done and how I think they should be done. And he basically validated everything I said. And it's really got me fired up for this year, which may be my last full year wrestling. I haven't decided yet or not. I'm hoping to make it till next year because that'll be 25 years. And that'll be, a good to walk out on. But as long as I'm having fun doing it and I'm capable of doing it, I'm going to do it. But the goal next year is to be on WreslteCade, 100%. To have a table, to be part of the Super Show or the day after. That's the goal. And I'm going to do what I can to get there. And that's all we can do. But generally, as far as you're talking about marking out, it's funny because we got in talking and I was like, listen, I'm not trying to be a mark. I was like, but I would love it if we could take a picture together. He's like, be a mark. He said, hell, I'm a mark. We're all marks. He said, if you're in this business, you should be a mark. So now I'm like, Jerry Lynn said I can take a picture with you because he said everybody should be a mark. But I always take the pictures. And I'll be honest, Matt Cardona, I'll tell this story. I swore I wasn't going to tell this story because I didn't want to look like a mark. But so Matt Cardona is a guy that I noticed, obviously, when he was doing the Zack Ryder thing. And I was like, man, I don't know if this guy's really like this, but he is taking this thing and he's running with it. He is making it entertaining. And then when he got, released and he started rebuilding himself and like he was everywhere, like he used social media perfectly. And he's a huge inspiration to be like, just because you think something's over and past does not mean you can't get back there or be even better. Because I'm sure he's probably making more money now than he ever did in WWE. Right. And he has more creative control. So last year, or 2023, I wanted to meet him, right? So I was going to walk up to him, do the whole deal. Couldn't talk to him. I've like I said, I've met Sting, I've met Kurt Angle, I've met these big, huge name guys, right? Kevin Nash, Luger, saw Matt Cardona, couldn't do it. So we're standing over here because he's a figure guy, wrestling figures and all that. Yep. So we're standing at a vendor thing and we're looking at some stuff. Sure enough, I look to my left. There he is. Once again, couldn't say a word. And I was like, gosh, I was kicking myself. And this year, I was like, because my buddy actually was one of the ones the guy that brought him in for WreslteCade. I saw my buddy Friday night, and I was like, look, man, I just want 2 minutes with Matt, whatever. So he hooked me up with a picture. And I paid for it, obviously, but he let me get a picture with him and all that. I talked to him for a little bit, just basically told him that he was a big inspiration. And that was huge for me because, like, he's that guy. I don't know why, but, like, he is that larger-than-life persona. Like, whatever he wants to do, he does it. The Deathmatch King, the Indie God, the stuff with Chelsea being one half of the women's tag teams. Like, dude, he is
one half of one half. Yeah.
He is having so much fun.
Yep.
In what he's doing. And I think that is the biggest thing about what we do. If you can have fun with your job, you'll never work a day in your life.
So true.
But yeah, that's basically what WreslteCade means to me. And it's also a chance to see guys I haven't seen in a while that also validate, man, you're out there killing it. Because it's weird. Social media is weird, man. People are watching your stuff. They're seeing your pictures, but they're not liking, they're not commenting, they're not reacting. But then when you see them, they're like, man, I've been following you. I've been this. I'm like, okay, well, like, shoot me a like. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I support everybody. If you come up on my feed and I'm like, oh, you got a match with this person. Oh, you got You got to go to Japan, like JSE just did. All that, man, awesome. Love, love. You know, but I don't get the same in return. There's a lot of people that'll be in my inbox and they'll be like, building me up, but for whatever reason, publicly, they just won't. It is what it is. Like but it validates a lot of that, because when you have those in-person conversations, it means a lot, especially people that you thought didn't even know who you were, or had some issue with you or something, heat as we like to call it. Which I'm going to throw this out here now. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have heat with anybody. If somebody has heat with me, I mean, I'm on Facebook. A lot of people have my number. I'm on Instagram. Like, hit me up. We'll talk. Like, I'm not taking any negativity with me. But I will say this. This year, it's going to be the same energy. Whatever energy you give me, that's what you're getting back. And that's the way it should be. Like, you can't waste your creative energy on everybody. You can't help everybody. You can't save everybody. If I give you advice once because you asked for it, and then you turn around and do the complete opposite, okay, then you obviously don't really care what I have to say or listen to me, which is fine. I'm, like I said, no heat, no problem. That's your journey, but I'm just not going to be a part of it after that.
For sure. It's a great attitude to have. Wish more people were the same way. Cool. So I think we got through a lot of this stuff. I was going to ask you what's on the horizon for Sean Cruz in 2025, but you kind of laid that out for me. That goal of WreslteCade, I think that's a great goal to have. I think
it is, man. And I'll tell you what else. As much as people talk about them bad, the Carolina Wrestling Association Awards or whatever,
Yeah.
Never been nominated to my knowledge. And I'm a born and bred Carolina wrestler. I don't know if I'm just not in the right places, which last year I didn't spend a lot of time in the Carolinas. It was a lot of Tennessee and West Virginia. So I get that. But my goal this year is to stay local. Not saying I won't go out of state, but if the opportunity presents itself, I'm not going to be on the road 3, 4, 5. I mean, we just got this new house and we're going to stay here hopefully for a couple years. And then we're going to build us a barn dominium, which is going to be incredible. That's the goal.
Yeah.
And so, we gotta be smart. We gotta, not travel as much, and the money's got to be there. Like, I mean, there's so many people that don't want to pay you or pay you peanuts, and it's like, cool, I'll sit at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know my worth, and I promise you, if you pay me what I ask, you're going to get 100%, just like the shirt says. So that's all I have to offer, But yeah, cool. I want to work more names this year for sure, and just more high profile matches, man. I want storylines. I want to create with people. I want to create moments. I want to do these things that people are still talking about years later. I want to pull stuff out of guys that they didn't know they were capable of doing, or even guys that didn't think they were capable of doing stuff like that anymore. But I'm also not getting in the ring with any and everybody. I mean, that's how I hurt my shoulder. Like these guys that normally I don't put out a list, but I put one out this year, and everybody on there is 100% who I want to work with. But if these guys are like, oh well, I don't. What was that? Was when I saw the other day? It was like, who's on my list for 2025? Everybody can get it or whatever. Okay, you take that mentality until you get in the ring with somebody who ends up injuring you.
Yeah.
And you won't want to get in the ring with just anybody. If it was everybody properly trained can get it, okay, cool. But it's people will learn, and honestly, as human beings, we have to learn the hard way. That's the thing. I can sit here and tell you all day this, and you'll say, "Oh, not me. That's you." Okay. Well, until it happens to you, then you'll say that, because I used to say the same thing. I had no idea I was going to hurt my shoulder this year. But yeah, it's. I just want 2025 to be fun, man. That's my biggest thing. I want to have fun with it. There's a guy, just right quick. I know you know the name, White Mike. We love Mike.
Oh, love White Mike.
He's dude. If you watch him or you follow his stuff and you can't smile and laugh and genuinely be happy for that dude, especially with the family and the kid and everything now, because I've known Mike forever. I've known the old Mike. I've known the middle Mike, and this Mike right here is the best. And I wish nothing but the best for him and his family. And I hope he has the best wrestling year ever. I already told him. We were going back and forth on Facebook the other day. I was like, I want it. Like, we've never had a singles match. I've known him forever. I wrestled him and his partner in a tag match way back, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. But that's it. It's the only time I've ever been anywhere in the ring with Mike. And I want him one-on-one. I want that fun, man. I want him to have that fun with me. Because if you're not, like I said, if you're not having fun, why are you doing this? You know?
Yeah.
There's two things. You got to have fun, and you got to remember you don't know it all. Like Ricky Morton always says, if you think you know everything, get out of the business. Because you don't.
Sean Cruz versus White Mike. Sign me up for that one, man. When that happens,
I'm excited. I really want that to happen. I'm going to politic for that all year.
Well, Sean, man, I want to say thanks. I appreciate you kind of reaching out and wanting to do this. This was a lot of fun. I had a great time. Great conversation. I can't wait to see more from you from 2025, and hope to see you in person at a wrestling event or two this year as well in the area.
Yes, sir. You too.
But thanks so much.